So we're here today with probably the last Indy within this entire range. So it's quite apt, I guess, that this is the last Crusade Indy, that's the last Indy that we get to look at. And whilst on the surface this might look a lot like the Raiders of the Lost Ark Indy, and I mean there are some massive similarities, there are a couple of notable differences that we're going to take a look at today. So let's dig in now and I'll give you my thoughts. Hi all, Chris here, the Geek figure fan, and today we're taking a look at another Indiana Jones Adventure Series figure. So we're now halfway through Wave 3, the last figures, the last Crusade last figures, and we're looking at Indiana Jones today. So as I said in the intro, this is probably the last Indiana Jones that we're going to get. Mixed feelings about that, because we've had a lot of Indies within this range, more than I thought we'd have. But like every Indy figure that I've had is so good. I just love them. And I get the feeling this last Crusade figure is going to be no different. So I'll say this up front, and I know I've said it in previous videos, but I think Last Crusade is probably my favourite. I think it's difficult, and I don't know if anyone else is the same, but like I think my favourite Indy movie changes dependent on my mood, but Last Crusade is up there. And I am a sucker for Indy in a tie. So I'm so pleased that we're getting this look. But before we get a look at Indy in his tie, let's take a look at the box first. So the same box design as every other figure that we've had so far. I think these looks get shorter and shorter every time we do one of these videos, but I can't fault the box other than the fact that it's not a blister pack. You know, it looks great. I think the design on them is fantastic. And obviously my favourite part of it is the poster art design on the side, and it does not disappoint. One of my favourite scenes from the movie is when Indy and his father are in the motorcycle and sidecar, and they're jousting and fighting with the Nazis on the bikes chasing them, and that is depicted perfectly on this picture. So yeah, don't really have any issues with that. Photorealistic renderings on the front and back of this box. On the other side there's pictures of every figure within this range, and on the back a picture with all the accessories on it. But let's get stuck into it. Let's get him out of the box, let's get him into some poses, and we'll see what we think. So we're going to start by taking a look at the figure out of the box. And I mean, at first glance, there's a lot of bits of this that look very similar to the Raiders Indy, including the trousers and the well-worn brown leather jacket. But there has been some changes to the head. So it's got good head movement. Again, full exorcist on that head. But there have been some changes to the hat, as you see me adjusting it there. This hat is on like a ball joint, so you can actually change the angle of the hat when you're positioning this Indy. How clever is that? And you'll see the wing movement on here. Again, really tough. I think Wave 3 as a whole, wing movement at just the top joint in the arms is so tough on all of them. We've got a single joint in the elbow, and we've got the usual movement in the wrists there as well. As you can see, I'm having to adjust his tie there. It's a nice tie, but it does sit at a little bit of an angle, and if you move his head, it does move with it. As you can see, the same single joint in the knee and reasonable ankle movement. The Indies have never had the best ankle movement. Those trousers kind of get in the way a little bit. But let's put him aside and get into the accessories, of which there are a reasonable amount. So we have the usual coiled whip that can be put on his belt. So that's there. We have the uncoiled version of that whip. So that is for posing when he is cracking that whip over his head. And we also now have another MP40 type machine gun. A little bit of a rehash of the same accessory we've seen in a couple of figures, but it is also an accessory that we do see in his hands in the movie. And then we also have his pistol here as well, I can pick up. So there we have it, and obviously that can fit in the holster on Indy's belt. So yeah, not too bad. We'll just take a quick look here. This is the accessory. It's a leg for the Build an Artifact table, the Grail table. So we'll see that put together in a later video. But let's get him on display and we'll take a proper look at him now. So as we see him on display here, you'll see that I've just got him with the coiled whip first. And I want to just touch very briefly on the belt itself. So I'm noticing, I noticed it with the Temple of Doom to a certain extent, the Temple of Doom Indy, that the ability to put the belt on, so that little loop for the belt had gotten better in the Temple of Doom version. And I think it's even better on here. So I don't know if it's been adjusted further than the Temple of Doom Indy had, but that little lug that fits into the hole on the belt for that loop is just so straightforward now, you know, almost to the point where it feels like the one on the Raiders Indy is defective, you know. So yeah, I don't have any issues with that. Even with my fat fingers, trying to get that in there is absolutely fine. No issues whatsoever. So I'm really pleased that what they've done is they've listened to the fans and they've noticed some of the complaints that fans have made, and they've made adjustments for that. And I think likewise that bears even more fruit when you're looking at the hat. So there were clearly a lot of people that were unhappy that either the hat didn't move or that the hat wasn't removable. And I had no real issue with the hat not being removable, because on this style of Indy figure I'm always going to want to pose him with his hat. However, what I do really like is that you can kind of change the angle and the expression of Indy by tilting his hat forwards and backwards and slightly to the side as well, so you can get that hat looking exactly how you would expect it to. And as I move through putting Indy into a number of different poses, I'm going to make sure that I do the same with the hat as well, so that you can see what a difference that makes. The jacket itself and the trousers, you know, the basic design of Indy hasn't changed a great deal from the Raiders of the Lost Ark version. It's an identical mould, there's a slightly different face. So if we zoom in on the face for a second, the face sculpt itself does look great, and it does match the other Indies that we've had. However, the main difference between this one and the Raiders Indy is that this one doesn't have that kind of 5 o'clock shadow stubble appearance that we get from the Raiders Indy. This is a clean-shaven Indy, and I much prefer that look. I mean, in real life, you know, Harrison Ford with stubble, I know he looks amazing, but on these figures, I think in a 6-inch design, sometimes the stubble can look a bit painted on. It doesn't look effective. Not for this price point anyway. But the main difference, as I alluded to at the beginning, is the tie. I really, really love this look of Indy with the tie, and I actually don't know if that's a general feeling amongst the fan base. I've never really considered it. I just think that he looks fantastic with the tie. I might get a load of comments on this video that say that they hate the idea of Indy in a tie and they much prefer him with that open collar. I mean, that's absolutely fine. I think there's just something about this film and the fact that he's got a tie as well. So maybe it's that idea that he's with his father for a good portion of the second half of this film, and I don't know, that tie just gives him that impression of him being the child. He's got his uniform on, and he's all buttoned up and he's all proper and making sure that he looks good for his dad. And I'm sure that's not it, but I just kind of maybe subconsciously just get that impression from him having that tie on. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but suffice to say, I really like the look of him with this tie, and the tie's really effective on the figure as well, so I have absolutely no problem with that. I mean, looking at the further accessories, I've got him with his uncoiled whip here, and yes, I did record this footage before I did the voiceover, and if it annoys you that he's got both his coiled whip and uncoiled whip at the same time, trust me, it is killing me that I missed that when I recorded this footage, because oh my god, how could I not have noticed that he's got two whips? What an idiot. So please try and overlook that faux pas. As you can see, the hat down, what a difference it makes having the hat down just a little bit. It totally changes the complexion of the scene. For such a small change, I love it. It's one of the best changes that Hasbro have made to this range, full stop. And if only they'd brought it in beforehand. But yeah, really, really like that look. Very, very pleased. And he looks great with his pistol out as well. I think the pistol's really effective. And again, the holster is slightly easier to use the holster on this newer figure than it was for the Raiders Indy. So I don't really have any concerns with that either. I really like the MP40 machine gun, and he only uses it very briefly, but it's kind of an iconic scene, isn't it? Where he's broken into the castle and he's trying to save his dad, and his dad's calling him Junior. He's not happy about it, and then he kills all those Nazis with the MP40, and then slides. I always remember that moment where he slides the gun along the table, smashing all the glasses when he's asked to put his guns down to save Elsa Schneider's life. So yeah, I don't know. It always sticks in my head that gun, even though it's a standard machine gun from the 40s. It feels iconic. I know that gun from that scene, even when I'm playing games like Call of Duty or whatever, and I see that gun and I'm like, that's the gun that he throws along the table in Indiana Jones. But yeah, I'm quite pleased it's there. However, I think this gun is indicative of a problem that we've talked about before on previous Wave 3 videos, that is infecting Wave 3 like a virus, and it's just Hasbro not caring about the accessories with these figures at all. And Indiana Jones, granted, has got more accessories than some figures. We'll talk more about Voller and Elsa later, but even though he's got more figures than some in this wave, it seems like Indiana Jones in the main wave is getting less and less each time. I don't understand how it is that the Raiders Indy can get punching fists, but then we don't get them for Temple and Last Crusade Indy or Dial of Destiny Indy. You know, we only have that option. I suppose we can definitely utilise the hands from other figures, but you know, what if you haven't bought Raiders Indy? What if you've only bought Last Crusade Indy? I mean, you don't get that same choice with that. So yeah, it just feels like the quality of accessories, even with the mainline Indiana Jones, is slipping a little bit by bit by bit. And I'm kind of surprised, really, that this review hasn't gone on longer. I don't have a massive amount to say about Indy, because he's so similar to Raiders Indy. Everything that I loved about Raiders of the Lost Ark Indy, I love about this figure. The detail on the jacket, the detail on the trousers, the fact that the head moves, the tie, the shirt, I love all of it. You know, it's a great looking figure and will look fantastic on my shelf, or actually on a horse that I've got. I can see I've got a horse in one of my displays and I think he's going to look great on that horse. I'm just imagining him in the scene where he's chasing the tanks. That's going to look perfect in my cabinet when it's done. But he's not a disappointing figure. But I do ask the question, is he the best Indy? No, I don't think he is. I think that, for me, from the mainline figures, I think that still goes to Temple of Doom Indy. I think because that one figure really represents an iconic moment from the movie. You know, when he's on that bridge and he's cutting the bridge down, that figure fits into that one scene perfectly. And I suppose that maybe that's a negative to some people, that it's not more representative of a larger portion of the movie, but I just love it for that reason. However, this is still a fantastic Indy and I'm so glad that I have him, so he will not look out of place in my display at all. So yeah, what do you guys think of this figure? Is this an Indy that you like? I mean, let me know in the comments. In fact, let me know specifically about the tie as well. Is this, you know, is the tie something that you wanted? Do you hate the tie? Oh, is everyone anti-tie? How do I not know? Is there a huge anti-tie movement going on in the Indiana Jones fan base? And if you've enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel for future news and reviews. I know the Indiana Jones Adventure series is coming to an end, but that won't be the end of our coverage of it. We're going to look at ranking all of the figures and finding out which are the best, which are the worst. You know, maybe doing a tier list for these figures as well. And then we can have a bit of a retrospective on it as well. And that's going to be in amongst all other reviews and Star Wars reviews. We've got some Ghostbusters reviews coming. We've even got more Turtles reviews, more NECA figures. Please stay tuned for more. It helps me out hugely. And also, you know, if you're interested in more Indiana Jones videos, why not check out this video next? Thanks ever so much for joining me today. I hope everyone takes care. Bye bye now.